Funding is an important factor to look at when evaluating a project, whether it is something to do something in, like for farming of airdrops, or whether it is something to look forward to, or what kind of price action to expect from it. So there are many things that you can infer from the funding the project has received. And in bear market, it gains even more provenance and importance than in bull market because the capital is scarce and it is much harder for projects to secure that funding. So you should pay much more closer attention to what projects receive the funding in this kind of market. So in this video, we will go over the projects that received significant or prominent funding during the month of August. And if you would like to have the continuation of this rubric, we can of course continue doing it for September, October, and the time as the time goes on. Today is August the 30th, and I will not probably include August the 31st in the projects list. However, if you like the rubric, we can of course just talk about that for September. So shortly about the websites that I'm going to be using for this video. For this video, I'm going to be using dropstab.com as well as crypto-fundraising.info, both very good resources with a lot of information on them. So we'll use Dropstab as the main kind of guidance for us because it has a few more projects than crypto fundraising. The first project on the list of Dropstab is IronMill. IronMill secured a pre-seed round for $2.6 million. We're not too interested in it because it's a blockchain service, and blockchain service can be a hit or a miss, but it's not exactly crypto related thing, as you can see in the short description of the project. So we are going to skip over this one. And we'll start with BuilderDAO. BuilderDAO received an angel round, so its first funding round for $2 million with very notable investors, and it is particularly relevant that it is a social category, because as you will notice that many projects are in this social category that got the investment in this month. So we can see some kind of trend developing for social networks being the hot VC topic, so to say. Let's look at the investor list, and Sequoia Capital China and 7X Ventures, which are both pretty good funds, and in particular Sequoia is an important player in here, and it is the lead. So it is very good sign for BuilderDAO. So what is BuilderDAO? BuilderDAO is a social network. It's a Web3 talent and project network that focuses on fostering the social DAO governance paradigm. So it is basically a platform for creators and developers to collaborate together on that via that platform to produce content and develop dApps together. And we can go to the next one, and I would put a tick, like a good green light on BuilderDAO, and I would look closer to these projects as it develops. And we'll go to the next one. The next one is FirstMate. That secured a funding round for $3.75 million with a very good Twitter performance score. I trust this Twitter Scout score. It is the main one I usually use for my videos. And the score of 637 is a very good score. And it is particularly important again because it's an NFT type project, and NFTs are very much community based. What is FirstMate exactly? It is an NFT marketplace that aggregates various NFT marketplaces like OpenSea, LuxRare, I'm sorry, my tongue is not very good for English words, X2, Y2, and Foundation. And it uses other decentralized protocols to ensure the transparency and freedom for community trades. I mean, pretty basic. The long story short, NFT aggregator for NFT marketplaces. And let's look at the investors, because the investors are prominent. There are only 3 of them, but Dragonfly Capital in the lead is a very good sign because many projects that had Dragonfly Capital in the lead have been very successful. And Coinbase Ventures, which is also a tier 1 fund, is participating in this round. For some reason, Dropstab is saying that Dragonfly Capital is a tier 2, but in my opinion, and you can argue with me in the comments, I think Dragonfly is a tier 1 fund. And we go to the next one because I'm not going to get very deeply into each topic. We are going to just go quickly over them so that you can investigate any project you like yourself. Next one is also, again, a social category of the projects, and it received a seed round. So all these projects are just launching, and not even launching, they're even just in the development stages. However, the Twitter performance is not very good for a project that is in a social category, but we're not that interested in Raleon because the investors are not the best. Blockchain Ventures is not too bad of an investment fund, and it's the lead fund. It is basically for marketing and automation analytics for dApps and games, so it's not something particularly interesting if you'd like to do some kind of activity in the project to maybe receive future incentives, or if you'd like to just play around with it. It's not really a project for that. So we'll go to the next one, and the next one on the list is Anytype. Anytype is a blockchain service, and it received a significant funding round for $13.4 million. However, the investor list is not of big interest for me, so I would not stay on this project too long. And we go to Maple. Maple is already out. It is a project that has been launched. It also had an IDO, so it has been out and about for quite some time, I think from 2021. It has a very good Twitter performance, even higher, the highest out of all the projects we have looked at. So what is it? Is it a DeFi protocol? It's a lending platform, and it received a funding round for $5 million. Let's look who participated. Framework Ventures, which is a tier 1 fund, Block Tower Capital, and Spartan Group, which are the ones that are just standing out. GSR Ventures is also pretty good, and Block Tower was the lead along with Tioga Capital Partners. So what is Maple? If you don't know what Maple is, it's a DEX basically that is on the Ethereum ecosystem, and it's also working on Solana ecosystem. And the Maple token that you can buy, that you can use, is usually used for governance. It also allows to receive and share fee in the revenues that Maple is getting. And also you can stake Maple token in the lending pools, and that will what allows you to use Maple functionalities, basically. There is a good Twitter score, good investors, and the project has received $5 million in yet another funding round. However, because it already had an IDO, I'm not too interested in it to do some kind of extra activity for now. However, of course, if you're interested in DEXs or the Maple token, you can, of course, have a look. Next one is Ideogram AI. It is basically a DALI 2 kind of thing. AI is receiving massive funding still. It has been for several months. For $16.5 million, it was a seed round for Ideogram AI. It's not much cryptocurrency related, so we're not going to go over it too deep. However, if you're into AI, I would keep an eye on it because A16Z, I understand Horowitz was the lead, and they collected quite a significant sum of money. However, how significant it is for an AI project, it's a question, of course, because they just securing it like this. Drip. Drip is an NFT project built on Solana, and we go into Drip for $3 million seed round. And it has a very, very good Twitter performance, and which is again a good sign for an NFT project. And as we can see in the investor list, you have Solana Ventures and Placeholder Capital in the lead. And Placeholder is a good fund. It's a tier 2 fund. And what's good also about this is that Solana, and that is the platform that they are building on Drip, they want to have Drip in their ecosystem because seemingly they are basically giving money to Drip to exist. So what is Drip? Drip is just an NFT project, as I said, and it is a kind of a platform for creators to gift out free NFTs to either subscribers or whoever volunteers and connects their wallet and does something. I'm not exactly sure what the processes are. I assume they might be different for different projects. However, the fact that these are free NFTs does not sound sustainable if you think about that. But maybe that is a great marketing opportunity for projects if they would like to just give out some free NFTs. The next one on the list is Curve Finance. I'm sure you're all familiar, and no wonder it has a Twitter performance of over 2,000. It's a DAO, however, it's also a liquidity provider. So they have multiple liquidity pools that you can use to swap stable coins one for another, and it also powers many projects in the crypto industry with its liquidity pools. The investment round from Tron for $2 million, and I'm also aware of another one from Binance for $5 million. However, all these investment rounds are connected to the Curve Finance hack that happened in August this year as well. And the exploit, the hack, however you want to call it, was quite a saga ongoing that everybody had been watching on Twitter for quite some time. And the Curve DAO CEO was also connected very much with this because he took a loan for his house and he used CRV tokens as collateral. So there has been quite an ongoing saga going on. I talked about it in the news video that you can watch. I'll leave the card somewhere in your screen that it will appear. But we will move on from CurveDAO to the next one, Jada AI. Again, not very much crypto connected, very big money, but not many famous investors. AI, again, we'll just skip this one. Next one on the list is Ellipsis Labs. Ellipsis Labs has $3.3 million, and it's the first and only seed round it has had. And Twitter performance is pretty good, over 500. It's in a DeFi category, finally, not something social. Very good investors, Electric Capital Tier 1 Fund in the lead, and Robot Ventures from Robert Ventures participated as a tier 2 fund. And we also see Anatoly Yakovenko, who is a very famous on Twitter Solana developer. But what is Ellipsis Labs? I would talk about too much without even discussing what it is. So Ellipsis Labs builds DeFi protocols on Solana. So it's labs, it is a developer team basically. So not much to do for us to kind of participate in it unless you're a developer and you would like to join it. They are building DeFi DEXs and they are just mainly focused on the Solana ecosystem. And that's kind of why we see Anatoly Yakovenko, who was one of the investors in it, because he is also a Solana developer. And we go to the next project afterwards. After Ellipsis Labs, we have CityPay. It is an infrastructure and it received $2.17 million in funding for its seed round. Not very good Twitter performance because it's unavailable, but we have Tether in the investors and Presto Ventures. It is not much of an interest for us as a project because CityPay is just infrastructure for different businesses and projects to support cryptocurrency as a payment method. So we'll just move on from CityPay to ZETA. ZETA is a very famous layer 1 omni-chain protocol that you can use. It's kind of a layer 0 competitor, I would say. And it can connect both EVM chains with non-EVM chains like Bitcoin. So that is a cool perk of it. Has pretty good Twitter performance, and the funding round for $27 million shows that everybody is very much interested in it. However, the investor list does not include any tier 1 funds in this round at least. It includes CMT Digital, Blockchain.com, Jane Street Capital, and Foundation Capital as pretty big famous funds. After that, we got to the next one, and Linera. Linera is a layer 1 blockchain that received a funding round for $6 million. It's not its first round. And I will go over the previous ones in a little bit. Its Twitter performance is not the best. It's okay. And its category is infrastructure. So as I said, it's a layer 1. Pretty generic layer 1 with not that notable investors in this round. However, if we look a bit closer into previous funding rounds, particularly into its seed round, we see that Anderson Horowitz and Tribe Capital participated. It's a bit not a nice sign that not many projects that were in round 1 participated in the second round of funding. However, layer 1s are still on the edge. There has been a very big trend for layer 1 funding a while ago, and then they were layer 2s, and now there is a lot of social and AI stuff. However, we still see layer 1 protocols being funded, which is a good sign for other layer 1s as well. That means we still need infrastructure. We'll go to the next one. I'll just go over Linera. I would just say it is an interesting project and I would keep an eye on it if I were looking for some kind of activities to do. Lore Explorer received a funding round for $2.3 million and the investors are not that big. However, we have this guy who was an angel lead investor in this Lore Explorer. And he is the previous CTO at Coinbase, co-founder of Consul, Earn, Teleport, and Coin Center. And he also worked at A16Z and a few other companies that are quite significant. So maybe he knows his ways around crypto, so to say. So he is looking into Lore Explorer. And Lore Explorer is just blockchain tooling, and it also introduces natural language into this blockchain tooling, and it aims to provide something very usable for developers and users to use. Yeah, duh. Let's go to the next one. Next one is BitGo. BitGo is a very big project. As you can see, its Twitter performance is huge, the funds raised are huge, and the pre-valuation. It is one of the only projects that has its pre-valuation live. It received multiple funding rounds, but nevertheless, it is not of much interest for us because BitGo is just infrastructure for institutions that, let me have a look for a second, for regulated custody, financial services, and core infrastructure. So we can just skip over it. Very nice to have such big things in crypto, but it's not very much for consumers. And the next one is Dinari. Dinari, we can also have a look because we have again the XCTO and A60 of Coinbase. They are offering securities backed tokens, or D shares as they call them, which are backed by US securities. So you can buy US securities with stable coins, kind of thing. And we can go to the next one straight up. As I said, it's not too big of a thing for me, securities and Dinari either. So ZTX received a funding round for $13 million, and it's just seed round. And Twitter performance is very good, especially considering it is in the social category again. As I said, social is very much gaining momentum at the moment. And we can see Jump Crypto is a very big lead fund, tier 1. And again, Jump Crypto likes to invest into many game type projects, and they invest into many of them as a leading capital. So what does it do? ZTX is a metaverse that is basically a platform to both build stuff and to play to earn stuff. And they are launching a collection of 4,000 3D houses sold as NFTs on Arbitrum this month. And they also promise future drops, events, and in-game enhancements for users who buy these NFTs. Last month, they also introduced a private beta test for its upcoming platform, and I'm not sure exactly how you can get into it, but I'm sure that you can find any information on their website. And they also recently collaborated with Ellipsis Labs, that is powering the gods and youths. On the one hand, it's very big projects, NFT projects. However, on the other hand, both DeGods and Youths did not receive very good publicity recently on Twitter. Next one is a JK Labs. JK Labs received a pre-seed for $2 million. It's not too big of an interest for us because it's just basically developer community building decentralized infrastructure for communities across the web. So not much you can do unless you are a developer. And Twitter performance is very good for this kind of company, surprisingly good. And we also have 1KX, which is kind of tier 1 to tier 2 fund that invested into it. Next one is Anthropic, which received $100 million. And guess what? It is AI. And the funding is just from one company, which is, okay, but it's not much crypto. So I'll just skip over it and we can go straight to Helio Protocol. That's important because there is another project that is called Helio, and unfortunately, it's not this one. So what is Helio? Helio is on BNB chain, and it is a lending platform. Lending platform that is offering borrowing and yield opportunities for BNB-backed assets known as D stablecoins. They also have their own stablecoin called Hey, and Hey is used for over-collateralized lending and staking as a service, and a few other services on the BNB chain. It is built. The fact that it is built just on the BNB chain is a little bit limiting in comparison if it, let's say, was built on Ethereum or EVM ecosystem. But nevertheless, it's just a protocol that Binance invest into it. So Binance Labs invested into Helio for its own chain, not surprisingly. Next one on the list is HypeLab. HypeLab is just an advertising company, so it's not a big interest for us, so we can just skip it and go to the next one. Next one is Affine, and Affine is a pretty interesting one despite the Twitter performance being a bit on the lower side. It is a DeFi platform that offers cross-chain yield farming. So it is a decentralized protocol for cross-chain investments and savings app that allows users to invest into multiple assets, including yield-generating DeFi protocols. So again, sounds interesting and very good funding too. So if we go into investor, Coinbase Ventures, which is tier 1 fund, Jump Crypto, Circle Ventures, who are in the lead, and they're all pretty good investors, in particular Jump and Coinbase. And we also have Shima Capital, which is a tier 3 fund that has been quite active this month, seemingly, and they all invested into Affine. And that was on August 11th, the announcement. So I would keep an eye on Affine. I think that's an interesting project, and I would like to see where it goes. Next one is Node 40. I'm not very interested in that one because there is just one investor that is not of big interest for me personally. And again, I already talked about CRV investments previously. It received 2 million from Tron and 5 million from BNB, from Binance Labs. I keep wanting to call it BNB, but it's basically the same thing. Next one on the list is Xverse. You might be surprised, but it's not Metaverse. Xverse received the funds for $5 million in a seed round, and that was led by Jump Crypto, that we see the tier fund, as I already said, very good Twitter performance for blockchain service. So what is it? It is a basically Bitcoin wallet. However, it also supports rewards that you can earn via Bitcoin non-custodial staking, and there is a pool for that. Next one on the list is Spearbit, received a funding round for $7 million. Very pretty good Twitter performance in a social category yet again. And we'll look into investors. And the investors include quite a few tier 1 funds, and Framework Ventures, which is a tier 1 fund, was in the lead. We also have Vault Capital, 1KX, and Robot Ventures. So what is Spearbit? Let's just demonstrate how this whole thing works. Just a website of DropStab. Spearbit is a decentralized network of security experts. It provides security consulting services to clients in Web3. So it's not too big of an interest for us again. However, we can just keep in mind if you would like some kind of services, consultancy services for yourself. But again, not of big interest for me personally. So we'll move on to the next one. And it is Cantina. Cantina is actually part of Spearbit, even though it's shown as a separate project. It is just because Spearbit intended to spend this 7 million to build Cantina. So Cantina is actually the marketplace for outsourcing or freelancing, some kind of auditing or making sure basically that your smart contracts are secure. And next one is SphereX with a $8.2 million raised in the seed round, with not too bad of an investor list because we have Fabric Ventures, which is tier 1 fund. However, the lead investor was Aleph, which is not of kind of big thing. We'll go into what it is because I haven't said what it is. It's an on-chain security solution for Web3 applications. So it's offering security audits for projects. And again, not too big of an interest for us unless you're building some project that you would like to get audited. Cube3 is also on a similar edge. To my knowledge, Cube3 is offering AI tooling for smart contract audits. So it's combining crypto and AI and security. So bum 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 gets your funding, and they got their funding for $8.2 million. And the projects that invested into it are not too huge. We have Blockchain Ventures again in the lead, that was in some previous projects as well, and Hypershare Ventures, which is a tier 2 fund. We'll go into Parcha. Parcha is AI without any huge investors, so we'll skip over it. fxhash has a pretty good Twitter performance, so we gotta have a look at that. And it's an NFT category. It received a seed round for $5 million. Let's have a look at investors. Union Square, 1KX, Fabric Ventures, all tier 1 funds that invested, and 1KX is the lead as well, which is a good thing. So what does it do? fxhash, it's a generative art platform, just open source to mint and collect generative NFTs. You, again, take AI, take NFTs, take crypto, Web3, any kind of keywords, connect them all together and receive your $5 million funding round. I think it's pretty interesting because a lot of AI art seems to be very pretty and it's easy to generate. And nevertheless, despite it being so easily generatable, people still like it. And I mean, the images are indeed pretty. However, I'm still waiting. I do not know how long I'll have to wait until NFTs have finally some utility. Nevertheless, very good Twitter performance, so we've got to keep an eye on this platform. Next one on the list is Parcha Finance. Parcha Finance is a liquid staking protocol. It's received a seed round for $5.5 million. Let's look at the investors. Tier 2, couple of not the best, but pretty good. But we have Animoca Brands, which is a pretty good venture capital. Maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I think it's a pretty good one. And we have Lemniscap in their lead investor list, and as well Lightspeed Faction, but I don't know who they are. So pretty good Twitter performance, not the best. It's kind of in the orange zone, as you can see. So what does it do exactly? Parcha Finance, it is kind of allowing you to become an Ethereum validator without the 32 ETH or however many Ethereum it is now. You can join with as little as 2 Ethereum to become a validator. And this kind of reminds me of the Obol network that I did a video on, and you will watch again. I will put the cards somewhere and also in the description. And if we move on to the next project, I would keep an eye on Parcha Finance. I think it's a pretty interesting one, and liquid staking, while it is on the edge of being a security or not, because there were a lot of regulatory scrutiny surrounding liquid staking, but if it survives, I would keep an eye very much on Parcha Finance. But we'll go to the next one, as I said already, to Goldlink. Goldlink received a pre-seed round, and as you can already see, there's Polychain Capital in the lead investor, which is a tier 1 fund, and it's a very good fund, and it's often participating as a lead in pre-seed rounds. It received $1.4 million, not too huge of a round, and it's also very early, as based on its Twitter performance, and the category is DeFi. What does it do? Goldlink is a lending protocol that aims to provide more sophisticated tooling than any other lending protocols do now. And what's important about it is that Sam Weinberg, I'm not sure how to pronounce his surname, but basically Sam, is a co-founder and the CEO of Goldlink, and he served as the first engineer on the DYDX protocol and also did some back-end work there. So that's a kind of very good sign considering it is a DeFi solution, and DYDX is a very big and popular DeFi solution. So I would keep an eye on Goldlink. And next one after Goldlink, we have Yush. I am 100% sure that's not how you pronounce it, but Yush is very similar to Parcha Finance, yes. So it received a seed round for $3.3 million. Pretty good Twitter performance, DeFi category, but the investor list is not that prominent. So what does it do? Yush is it's offering its own token, ETH. Don't ask me. I'm sure it's not meant to be pronounced out loud. But this token that they're launching is representing diversified liquid staking Ethereum. So you can buy this token and kind of participate in liquid staking and use it as kind of for further actions, because this is the point of liquid staking. And it is also an omni-chain protocol that aims to offer their token via other chains. So they are connected via layer 0 to BNB chain and Arbitrum. So that's good to see that they are considering other ecosystems and trying to be multi-chain, and that's a good sign for them. And again, I would keep an eye on this one. It's not as interesting as some of the previous ones, but it's a pretty good project to keep an eye on. And we go to next one. I'm not too interested in this one because the investor list is not very big. 2 million and not very good Twitter performance, so we'll just skip over it. To the next one, D8X is the next project. Not very huge, however, it's a pre-seed round, so that's worth noting for $1.5 million, and that pre-seed is fine. The investor list is okay, it's not too big. We have G1 Ventures and Polygon and some other ones, and Swissborg as well, which is a pretty good one. And no wonder Polygon invested into it, because the project is built on ZKEVM, and yes, ZKEVMs have been quite loud, and if you'd like to watch my video about ZKEVMs and what the heck they are, I'll leave the link in the description and in the card somewhere on the screen. But basically, what does it do? It's just an institutional grade futures DEX. I'm not much of a trader, none of this is investment advice, and I'm not betting on any kind of stuff with futures. However, if you're interested in that and you understand something about that, you can have a look at D8X. The next one is finally something zero knowledge related. Zero knowledge used to be a very big trend before then, but before this August for quite some time. However, it is the first one we see in August with ZK in it. ZKPass received a seed round for $2.5 million with very good investors on the list: Sequoia, OKX, and Binance Labs. And there are quite a few others, but that's fine. We don't look at them even. You can have a look yourself. Twitter performance is okay, but it's fine. And probably very early stage since it's a seed round as well. So what does ZKPass offer? As you can kind of realize from the name, it's a zero knowledge pass. So it's a zero knowledge type digital identity kind of thing. And that has been talked about for a very long time, but nobody has been developing something properly with it. So they are using on the foundation of three main functions that I guess brought so much investment from big VCs. So multi-party computation, zero knowledge proofs, and the three-party transport layer security. Not exactly sure what all of those mean, but they sound smart. I guess you would keep an eye on that. And I personally am quite interested in zero knowledge stuff. So especially considering the investors, I would keep an eye on ZKPass, because it's not really one chain related or one single project related. You can use this kind of digital identity for many applications. So if ZKPass is successful, many projects might be using their solution. Next one on the list is Orbital. Orbital, I'm not too interested because it's an institutional kind of product that we are going to skip over, and we are going to skip it over to Mahjong Metaverse. As you can understand, it is a metaverse for playing Mahjong. There are live matches, there is commentary and educational resources, as they are at least promising at the moment. And what's good about Mahjong is that, as you can see, the lead investor, if I remember correctly, is Dragonfly. Indeed, Dragonfly Capital is in the lead. And as I previously said, where Dragonfly was the lead, the projects were very successful. So especially if you're interested in GameFi or Mahjong in particular, or Metaverse, I would keep an eye on it. However, its Twitter performance, I would like to see to be a bit higher for this kind of thing, because gaming is very much community-based as well. But the funding round for $12 million says that much more interest is going to be drawn to it in the future as well. And then let's go quickly to the next one because we are almost done. And Tenstorrent, $100 million. Guess what again? AI. Hushmesh. What is it? Twitter performance of 34 is kind of really bad. However, it received a funding round for $5.2 million without any prominent investors, so we can just skip over it. And we are skipping it too. Next one is Solv Protocol. Solv Protocol received $6 million in the funding round. Let's look at the investors. None of them are very prominent. However, it's not too bad of a protocol because its Twitter performance is quite high, so shows interest of people. And the category is DeFi. What does it do? Solv Protocol is an asset manager platform that aims to bridge liquidity across DeFi, CeFi, and TradFi. And with diverse assets, you can basically all put it all together and have multiple yield opportunities. And what's cool about it is that it develops on multiple ecosystems, including Arbitrum, BNB Chain, Ethereum, Phantom, and Polygon. So again, as I said, quite a few. However, they're all Ethereum related, so to say, apart from BNB. The next one is Socket. Socket is a software company. I'm not too interested in it personally myself because it's mostly interesting for developers. And in particular, it is interesting because the Series A stage round was led by A16Z, which is usually a sign of quality of the project because A16Z does quite a bit of investigation into what it invests into. And that's all. We are just done with all the projects. We went quite a few, as you can see. And what I also made, I made a Notion page with the projects that I discussed. I'm going to be adding projects as I talk about them into this Notion page. And here I included the name, the tag of the project, which is kind of the sphere it is working on, the stage of the seed round or the funding round or angel round, whatever the information was known. However, it's not exactly precise here because some are unknown. The funding round, so how much they collected in the particular funding round that I talked about in this video. Tier 1 and Tier 2 round investors, so only those that were included in the particular round that I talked about. The total raised amount of money and my interest, it does not really represent the value of the project altogether, it just represents how interested I am. So even if the project has a D rating, it doesn't mean it's bad, it just means that I am personally not very interested. And the valuation, I didn't put the estimated valuation because that is just basically multiplying by 10 the total money raised. But some projects like BitGo have the valuation in them. I put the URL for the project that you can go check out further information from and the date when the funding round was announced. I hope you find this table useful if you'd like to just have a look and maybe sort it by some kind of, let's say, by my interest or by how much money they collected in the funding round or by the date. It's just all very easy for you in this regard. And that's all I have for you in this video. If you'd like for me to make this kind of video overview of funding rounds of September, let me know in the comments. I would be, of course, glad to make one. If you have any questions, corrections, also let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching and see you in the next one.